Being able to effectively communicate with women is the difference between being perpetually single and alone and lonely for the rest of your life and being the guy that can get the relationships that he wants to have and get the girlfriend of his dreams. Because it doesn't really matter how attractive you are and how handsome you are as a guy. If you aren't able to communicate effectively, yeah, maybe she'll enjoy your looks and allow you to speak to her to start off with. But as soon as she hears you and sees that the way that you communicate is weak and fake and inauthentic, she's going to shrug you to the side. And one of the biggest issues that we have is that the majority advice for men on how to communicate with women is not like a little bit wrong. It's like 180 degrees wrong. It's the opposite of what you want to be doing, because so much of it revolves around you should be doing this. You should communicate with her in these exact ways, and you should shift who you are, what your interests are, and how you communicate to get her to like you, which is always fundamentally flawed. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why they're wrong and how I advise my clients on how to get real conversations with girls that lead to relationships. My name's Andrew Wilkinson, and I am a relationships and dating coach, and I help men from all over the world get the girlfriend they want, because I was that guy who couldn't communicate with girls, that if I was sat next to one, I would either freeze up, not having any idea what to say to her. I remember a bunch of nights at university where maybe I'd pluck up the courage to walk over and speak to her and maybe be sat next to her. I wouldn't know what to say. Or I'd just start saying things that I didn't really believe, thinking that maybe I could convince her to like me if I played up who I was, exaggerated elements of myself. And it was never effective, and it never really worked, because that is the issue here. It doesn't really matter what you're saying. It does come down to how you say it. What exactly are you communicating about yourself? Because one of the major things that guys do is they self-edit, that rather than communicate exactly what comes to their head and what they want to say to the girl, they're already being like, oh no, I can't say this because, I might come across weird, or she might not be interested in that. And they do this self-editing process, which creates a filter between who you actually are and what that girl gets to see. And she starts to pick up on this. She can feel that the conversation isn't really naturally flowing. You don't really seem to be showing everything, and she'll get suspicious of that, and it will feel off to her, because girls are way more socially sophisticated than guys are, because they've had to learn from such an early age that men are willing to say just about anything if they can potentially get the interest of a girl. So their bullshit detector is so much stronger than ours. So this is the advantage you can have. And what I teach people to do is to start to remove that filter and go against the common advice of the fact that here's the script that you need to say. These 5 things will get her into bed with you. When it's actually the opposite. It's not adding to what is your current repertoire. It's actually tearing back your preconceived notions of what you should be doing to try and just reveal who you are underneath. You've been told for so long that you can't talk about your fascination with lizards to a girl, but by all means, if it's something that you're interested in and that you're passionate about, communicate that, because the way you speak about it will be engaging, because it's true and honest. Don't start speaking about all these topics that you think she wants to talk about just because it'll make you sound more interesting. What girls really want, and what no one's really able to offer them right now, which is why it is so powerful when they meet a guy who can, is offering someone who is real and a sense of true connection. And you can only really get that if you're presenting who you really are in the conversation. You can't do that if all you're doing is putting forward this representative, kind of like an avatar of you, which you believe is socially acceptable, or even what you believe is attractive, that, girls like really chatty guys that go to the gym, so I'm going to play up how many times I go to the gym each week, even though, I only really go once, but I'm going to tell her I go 5 times, just to try and gain her interest. Because the issue is here, you start to select for the people who are interested in you by how you advertise yourself, how you communicate. Because if you're saying you go to the gym all these times, but you don't really like it, well, the only girls that are going to get interested are really gymmy girls. And that's not going to work long term when you're a bit of a lazy fuck who only wants to go once a week. Like, you'll start to build this fake persona who she then likes, maybe, if you can manage to be sort of convincing enough, which is still unlikely. But it will still lead it to crumbling. The only actual way to have a sustainable interaction with a girl is putting yourself into it. Otherwise, you have to keep up this image forever. And speaking from my own personal experience, that's not a journey you want to take. In my first ever relationship, I was so nervous and thought I needed to be perfect in every way. So when I communicated with her, I would hide all of my flaws and always speak to all of my strengths, whether they were kind of real or not. And I'd constantly put up this image of who I was, of this kind of perfect man. And it exhausted me trying to be that. And that relationship ended up breaking down. And part of the reason was she just couldn't connect with me, because what I was speaking out wasn't really me. I didn't have that ability to tell her what I was scared of, tell her what I really wanted, because I couldn't be seen to have needs. I couldn't communicate what I wanted her to do and what I wanted the relationship to be, because that'd encroach on me potentially being perfect. And that's the issue we have when we start to go down this road of putting a filter up. Is one of the fastest ways to communicate that I care more about what you think of me than what I think of me, because I'm changing my speech to get you to like me more. And girls pick up on this just immediately. That's why it's so powerful to start to remove that filter. And then you will start to see girls just open up more to you, because it takes the courage of one person to maybe allow themselves to look occasionally a bit foolish. Like, I've said things that are dumb in front of a girl, but do you know what that does? It gives you then the opportunity to show how you act when you make a dumb comment. Like, most guys, if they're insecure about their intelligence and they say something dumb, they'll try and move past it really quick, or they'll hide it so it doesn't sort of cast a shadow on how that girl might see them. If I say something dumb, I'm either going to own up to it and just be like, that was ridiculous, that was super dumb, because I'll just call it out, because I'm not ashamed of the fact I made a dumb comment. It doesn't mean I'm dumb. My self-esteem and my identity around my intelligence is rested on more than just an offhand comment that I might make. I also have the option to just playfully mess around with it, of just try and convince her of, there are definitely 30 letters in the alphabet. I don't know what you're on about. I was definitely right. There are definitely 30 letters. And just playfully go along with that. Because, as I say, it doesn't matter exactly what you're saying. It's what you're trying to communicate. And in that, I'm saying something that is dumb and patently wrong, but I'm doing it in a playful manner. So what I'm communicating to the girl is, hey, I'm just having a playful time with you here. And I'm seeing if you're able to play on this level as well. Or are you going to be really strict about it and just not want to engage in play and just try and call me out that I'm wrong? That could happen. So I'm testing out to see if the girl's willing to be playful with me, because I'm not going to get caught up thinking that everything that I need to say needs to be perfect, because this is where so many guys fall down. And this is the message that I really want to get across to you, because so many guys put in the comments and ask me as clients of, how do I communicate with a girl so that she'll be interested, because I don't want to come across too keen, I don't want to show too much interest and then she backs off. But this is such an incorrect mindset and framework for how you see communication with someone, because your job is not to ever convince someone to like you. Your job and your responsibility is simply to express who you are in as clear and in as authentic manner as possible. So it doesn't really matter if you show them interest, because if you are interested, show it, because that will speed up the process of either she'll ante up and reveal that she's interested in you too, or she'll show she isn't interested, and then you'll be able to move away from that relationship that was going nowhere anyway. Most people are just afraid to put themselves out there because they're scared it might hurt more to get rejected for who you really are. But that's not really what I found. When you actually put yourself out there, you gain a lot of self-respect. So if you get rejected, it doesn't actually hurt as much. When you're up front and like, I'm going in with the fact that I am like a Taylor Swift loving XL nerd who just loves human behavior and is obsessed with relationships, and all of that goes in there. And if they reject it, I'm just like, well, they weren't the right fit, because I was at least proud of myself that I didn't just try and hide behind a false persona. I don't claim to have a cool taste in music. It was never something for me. I really love movies and I have a better taste in movies. But even then, I still watched all of the Infinity Saga. I watched all of those Marvel movies and had a great time with them. And the amount of girls that think I'm a bit of a loser for that, I don't care. None of them like it, but I will still say that. And the thing is, it comes back to that. The fact that I don't care that they don't like the movies ends up making them feel more attracted to me anyway, because it's showing that I'm not reliant on their opinion of me to be worthy or good enough. So if you want to find the quickest way to communicate with girls to get them to the point where they potentially date you and take an interest in you, is removing these filters that you already have of what you can say and what you can't say. Because if you can get to the point where you can communicate effectively, it changes the game in dating. And there are a bunch of things about you that you're hiding right now. And girls would love to see that. They would love to see who you actually are. Because think about it. How many conversations do you have over a lifetime, over a year? And how many of them do you remember? So very few, because they're all the same. Your conversation doesn't need to be exciting to be memorable. You don't need to be some Will Smith level charisma dude to be memorable. You just kind of need to be real, because that's what you're bringing to the table. You're bringing your own set of perspectives, your own set of beliefs and interests. And that's quite fascinating. When I meet someone who just has completely different beliefs to me, I will find it interesting, because I'm like, how on earth has your head ended up working like that? Because that's so different to mine. And then I engage in that conversation to find out how they ended up like that. And that's then interesting, even if I don't align with it, because it's real. It isn't just the standard like placeholder conversation that everyone wants to have. If you want to be the guy that can be a memorable interaction with a girl, start to get rid of all of these filters you have over your speech and be brave enough to make the mistake. Because the thing is, even if you make the mistake, your reaction to it is then even more attractive if you operate in a manner where it's like, oh, that was dumb, than if you've not made the mistake in the first place. Girls just want to know who you really are underneath, not the surface level things that you're able to say. So if you're in that position where you really want to work on your ability to speak to girls, the best way to do it is just to put yourself out there. And I know that is difficult. In 2024, it has gotten harder than ever to meet girls, and dating apps are not an effective way of doing it for you. And if you want to find out how you can meet your future girlfriend without using apps, check out this video here where I break down the most effective ways that you can go out into the world and meet girls that you can have amazing relationships with.